Way too early predictions because we all know that there's going to be 6 key players that probably get hurt in the preseason or training camp, or apparently players can just tear their ACL at home workouts. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. Honestly, I think I'm afraid that's going to happen more frequently this year than most, just because guys haven't been able to be in the gym. People are just like, they're going to come back not as prepared as in most years. And so as a result, I think you might see more injuries, unfortunately.
Unless you stick with me and Kyle's regimens.
Right, unless you do that, because we're medical experts.
It's true. I took up one course. It was a discovery in physical health, also known as PE.
Yeah, I took high school biology.
Mm, okay.
Yeah, and yeah.
Oh, all right. I was curious to know where that was going to go. It went. All right. So, do you want to start with the AFC or NFC for our record predictions?
Oh, that's good. Let's go with the AFC.
All
You
right.
want to start, Corey?
Yeah, we're just talking playoff picture here. So now it is 7 teams.
It is, yes.
So, do you want to? Yeah. So, do we just want to go through all 7 at once, or do you want to alternate?
How about we do you want to pick division winners? Then we can
Pick
choose our
wild
three
cards.
wild card teams. Yeah.
Okay. So I have tied with a 13-3 record, both the Ravens and the Chiefs. I have the Ravens 3 losses being the Chiefs, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland. Because I think Cleveland's just one of those games at the end of the. I think the divisional games are just really hard. I think it's more likely than not that they're gonna split. And then with the Chiefs, I have their 3 losses being to Buffalo, one to Denver, and then one to New Orleans. And then 11-5, I have the Buffalo Bills, who do a 2-2 split with the Finns and Pats, and then they also lose to Seattle, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco. And then the Colts, I have winning the AFC South, with their losses being at Minnesota, the Ravens, the Texans, the Titans, Pittsburgh, and Green Bay.
Yeah, that's spot on. I have the exact same division winners. I have a little bit different records for them. I think the Ravens are going to be the 1 seed. I think they're going to win 12 games. The Ravens have the easiest schedule in the NFL. They have the least amount of travel to do in the NFL. And they're largely returning their roster, and I think they're probably going to take a step forward. Lamar will be in year 3. Mark Andrews will be in his second year playing with Lamar full time. Hollywood Brown looks terrific. I don't know if you've seen what he's been doing this offseason, working with Lamar. I do think that defenses will be better prepared to slow the Ravens down next year, but none of that matters when you actually have to tackle Lamar Jackson. So I think the Ravens will be 12-4, and I also think the Chiefs will win 12 games. I think the Chiefs got even better, to be honest with you. They're returning nearly all their starters last year from the Super Bowl run. And on top of that, they added Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I think was one of the best running backs in the draft and will fit perfectly with what Andy Reid wants to do. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be really dangerous. And yesterday, who knows if this is actually true, but Tyreek Hill tweeted out that he has only 1% body fat. And he's been doing hamstring exercises where he's on the ground and they're like, he goes all the way to the ground and lifts himself back up with like a 35-pound plate in front of him using just his hamstrings. It's incredible.
I totally know that.
Yeah, Corey, I mean, he gets people yoked. I think the Ravens and the Chiefs are the 2 best teams in the AFC. After them, I have the Colts and Bills also winning their divisions, the AFC South and AFC East. I think the Colts are going to be really great with Phillip Rivers next season. The Colts last year had one of the best offensive lines in football, according to PFF, and they're going to have one of the best O-lines again in 2020. Their backfield got even more explosive by adding Jonathan Taylor. And I think Rivers has one more good year in him. I think if he can be kept upright and he can limit the turnovers a little bit, the Colts can be a really good team. People forget before Andrew Luck retired prior to last season, a lot of people were picking the Colts as a sneaky Super Bowl contender because the roster around Andrew Luck was going to be so good. And I also just think Frank Reich is a terrific head coach. So
Yeah.
I'm picking the Colts. And then as the 4th seed in AFC, I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. The time that, for the Patriots to win the AFC East, it has come and passed. Their dynasty run is largely over. And I think the Bills are a really good football team. I still have questions about Josh Allen. He's just not a great passer.
You take that back.
He's he still can't complete 60% of his throws.
With those legs.
He's great with his legs though, and the roster around him is built to win now, especially on defense. So I have the Bills going 10-6 and getting the 4 seed.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see who your wild card teams are, because mine are the Pittsburgh Steelers at 10-6.
Ooh.
I have them losing to the Ravens, the Browns, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Texans, and Denver. And I have the Titans as another wild card team at 9-7, who would lose to the Colts, Ravens, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Texans, and Packers. And then my last wild card team was between the Texans, the Patriots, and Denver. And I picked the Patriots.
Wow.
I look at their schedule, and I think it is one of the harder ones in football, but I have them losing mostly the harder ones. I think the only team that was really impressive I had them beating was San Francisco, because I think there's something about San Francisco that I don't like that much.
Same.
But I had them losing to Buffalo, Miami, Kansas City, Baltimore, Seattle, Houston, and the Rams, which are really the toughest teams they play on their schedule, I think, outside of Miami.
Right.
But Miami's division.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Okay. So I disagree a little bit. I'm just not sold on Ben Roethlisberger. If that elbow is fully healed and
he's back,
he looks like he's back. He shaved the beard. I really don't know what you're going to get out of him. If he's the Big Ben of 3 or 4 years ago, yeah, the Steelers, can very easily find themselves in the playoff picture, but I'm just not sure. He's 38. The elbow injury he sustained was horrific. His advantage was that he could stay upright and throw the ball anywhere on the field deadly accurately. And until I actually see him do that again, I just don't buy it.
I don't know if you know this, Colin Cowherd says that 38 is the new 34.
Sure, but Ben Roethlisberger hasn't kept himself in shape ever.
How dare you?
Until it seems like this offseason.
He is the pinnacle of health.
Yeah, he's the pinnacle of fitness.
He shaved, Kyle. The man shaved.
What was that quote from Jay Glazer? Like, the words Ben Roethlisberger and fitness can never be in the same sentence. Something like that. His idea of fitness is a round of golf and a beer.
I mean, yes.
No, but I actually have the Cleveland Browns getting into the playoffs. I think the Cleveland Browns and Houston Texans will go 9-7, both of them, and they'll snag the final 2 wild cards. And I think the Denver Broncos are going to go 10-6 and grab the 5th seed in the AFC. I think Denver is more underrated than a lot of people are giving them credit for. Drew Lock last year was 4-1 down the stretch, and his only loss was on the road at Kansas City. Denver is returning with a lot more weapons around him. Melvin Gordon in the backfield.
The fumbler.
Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, KJ Hamler. And the defense is going to be even better too. They added AJ Boye, Jarrell Casey, Bradley Chubb's coming back. I think Denver's a really sneaky team, and I think that they can steal that 5 seed and who knows, maybe upset Buffalo in the first round.
I think the Patriots in Denver they're basically, in my mind, have the same chance of making that spot. So that was honestly very tough for me to decide. And sure. I can't really
For me, the advantage is Drew Lock in Denver. Drew Lock's the real deal, and nobody knows what Jarrett Stidham is going to be.
I was going to say the 2 issues for me, for both of them, I feel like I don't know if Drew Lock is the real deal, because a 5-game sample size is not even remotely enough to determine if he's a good quarterback. And also, I don't know, I like Philip Lindsay a lot, and I don't get why the Broncos just have this incessant need to try to give him a portion of the carries when he obviously, I think, can handle 90% of them. First it was with Royce Freeman, and then they're like, okay. And then they got Melvin Gordon. So, I don't know. It kind of feels like an Adam Gase type thing where they just refuse to accept they have a really good running back and would rather just bury them with other running backs. Except in the case of Adam Gase, he buries them with worse running backs.
Yeah, Philip Lindsay's problem is just not putting too much of a load on him because he has shown he's not the most durable. So for like the Broncos, the last 2 seasons have just been trying to limit the number of hits he's taken. But with Melvin Gordon now, that's not really an issue because you have 2 really great running backs. And everyone around the Broncos organization is saying Drew Lock is the guy. Von Miller is saying this guy's a rock star. If he didn't get hurt in training camp and miss the first, 10 weeks of the season, he would have been the starter a lot earlier. And I think the narrative would have been a little bit different. But I think that Denver's heading in a terrific direction. I think they're slept on. And I also think Cleveland is too, because Cleveland has one of the most talented rosters in the NFL.
Oh, they do.
And now they have a big boy head coach this year, not Freddie Kitchens. So we'll see. And Houston too, Bill O'Brien is a bad general manager, but he's very clearly a good football coach. And Deshaun Watson, I'm not going to bet against him.
Great people person,
Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
He only yells at fans some games,
and he only makes makes the NFL's most elite wide receiver want to leave.
Yeah, well, rip.
Wasn't he giving him like Aaron Hernandez comparisons?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very close. DeAndre Hopkins, well-known murderer.
But you know who else makes a lot of talented players want to leave? Bill Belichick.
How so?
I mean, Tom Brady.
Okay, well, that was just not cool.
Gronk. For being realistic,
Let's be honest, Gronk didn't...
Richard Seymour, Chandler Jones, Randy Moss after 2 years.
These were all trades. But the
True.
Gronk thing, the thing about Gronk is that he would have gone wherever Tom went. He just wants to be where Tom is.
Except New England.
Well, I guarantee you
that
he wouldn't have come back if Tom was still in New England.
No, exactly. That's my point.
I don't know. I think the Gronk thing is just very weird. And I heard this great, all right, so I listened to the Bill Simmons podcast, slight plug. And this person brought up how they felt that the Lakers, remember that Lakers team with Kobe and Steve Nash and Dwight Howard, and everyone thought that was going to be great, and then they realized age isn't just a number?
Yep. Yeah, that was 2012, wasn't it? That was after the Chris Paul trade fell through.
Yeah, and I feel like there is some part of this Tampa thing that could play out in that way. Because I'm not saying more of Tom. I'm saying way more of Gronk. I really don't think Gronk is going to be remotely what he was, even in his last year in New England.
No, and with Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard on the roster, they're only going to use Gronk in limited packages. They're not you'll see Gronk in the red zone, sure. You'll see him on third down. Other than that, they're going to try and limit the number of hits he takes.
I don't.
And they have the depth too.
I don't know why he's so sturdy.
That's not an unfair point about the Bucs.
I'm not an anti-Tampa guy though. I'm not trying to say
right.